Hello, everyone. We're so glad we could be together today to do this Facebook Live, or maybe you'll catch it a little bit later. Here I am, Steve Gray, and got Kathy with me today,
Hello,
just
hello.
like just like last week.
Yeah,
And Kathy, boy, we're living during some historical times.
yeah,
Look how much has happened since last week when we were sitting here
yeah,
talking sort of about the
yeah.
election.
I
Not
mean, it's
really.
it's amazing. Some people's lives have turned upside down,
Yep.
and maybe upside right. I don't know, but it's
Well, some of them are
changed a lot of
some of them
things.
are turning their own lives upside down and doing
Yeah,
it themselves, but
yeah,
very historical, and it's amazing. We have a new president, obviously, for a week,
yeah.
and how many countries have now responded to our new president and said, "Well, maybe we ought to talk this thing over. Maybe we ought to talk this war over. Maybe we ought to
Hey,
talk that over. Maybe we'll talk trade over."
yeah,
So those are the things that are going to affect us
yeah,
all along. Oh, I forgot, Kathy, to say
yeah.
sorry. We started late again.
Sorry.
We thought we were on the mark. I came in here, just got ready to sit down, and a box that we've been waiting for, we thought it's not going to make it today. Another piece of equipment arrived right when I got ready to sit down. Brooke rushed in the door and said, "Here it is." But unfortunately, we had to set it up, and so that
Hmm.
made us late again. So, but anyway, I hope you guys can come on and check us out.
Yeah,
We'll wait for a few friends to come on, Kathy, and give them a chance to say, are they really going to be on today? Well, we were late last week.
yeah.
Now we're late this
Well,
week.
Steve, I was willing to take the blame actually, but
I gave it.
give
I
it to
don't.
Jeremiah and
Well,
Zion, maybe.
I don't know what we're gonna
Yeah.
do if we don't get a new piece of equipment next week. I don't know what our excuse will be of
Uh-oh.
why we didn't get on time.
Yeah. Then you can blame me.
But look at all the stuff. It's
Hmm.
all the things we've been making great changes to be able
Yeah.
to reach you better and to
Yes.
bring great stuff to you. And but anyway, it's just amazing how the world is responding differently to a different leader, whether
Yeah.
you like the leader or not. Obviously, our world is changing, and it's going to change really rapidly. Uh, and what we want, everybody should just want it to be for the better.
Yeah.
That's the evil side of it. When all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden things are looking, we could really settle this down because
Yep.
the majority of the population, their voices were heard,
Yeah.
and
They were.
now it's time for people to go along with the will of the people.
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
oh gosh,
And things that'll make things better lives for everyone.
yeah.
I don't understand why anyone would want to put a block to things that are going to make it better for a whole nation. I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
I don't get it.
even if they
I
don't
don't get it.
agree with the politics, you should get on board and get
Yeah.
on the team because
Right.
fighting someone trying to do something good isn't going to work. So,
No.
anyway, so all that's going on, and I'm still waiting for a few people to come on because they probably already ate their lunch and went back to work.
Well, looky there. Tina Taylor's on.
You're not
Hi,
supposed to say
Tina.
last names.
Well, don't
told you
put.
that last
Oh, I'm
week.
sorry, but forgive me, Tina. I did it again.
So,
Help me to remember that, everybody.
so that's what I'm here for, to help
Oh,
you
thank you.
remember
I
that.
know. Help me,
But
honey.
anyway, let's just talk a little bit of what we're going to get into today,
Yeah.
and that is, yeah, and she just got a reminder on the board. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, Kathy, so we have
Yes.
something. What is it
Mm-hmm.
called? Oh, when I went to the doctor's office or whatever, I got a
Mm-hmm.
checkup or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they ask us if we had an advance directive.
Yeah.
And I say yes, and I'm trying to think what. Okay, so they say okay. I think
I
they type that in.
know.
What's an? I don't
What
want to get
is
into
it?
details, but it's what people do it. What is
Yeah.
an advance
Well,
directive?
well,
Why
you got to
people do
give
that?
it to your relatives, someone you trust, or your wife or your spouse first, and then you put down your preferences. Like if you're in the hospital, how would you want to be? Would you want to be kept alive or not, or would you like them to pull the plug on you? And then also another side of ours says who's going to make the final decisions on you, and everything. So that's an advanced directive.
Yeah, but you got to stress something. It's
Yeah.
not a directive you do while you're there in the hospital.
No.
It's something you do in advance before you're at the hospital.
Yeah, definitely.
So you say so it's a way to say how you want the end to happen for you.
Yeah.
On paper legally.
Yeah.
So then when it gets to the end of your life, then you've already
Yeah.
decided.
Yeah, and your family doesn't have to
Yeah,
decide.
and
then.
they
You
already know
made it.
your wishes, and that's called an
Right.
advance directive.
Yeah.
Well, my point being is, people can make an advance directive on their whole life.
Right.
They should make that.
Yeah.
And so that's why today we're going to talk about presets,
Yes.
preset for life.
Preset for life. I
By
like
the way,
that.
a little bit ago, we were trying to get our phones squared away here too while we're doing all this tech stuff,
Yeah.
and I had to print a document. So I did. I went to print, and I was reading all the options, like do you want it on the front and back and color and all that kind of stuff. And I just noticed something. One
What?
of them it said preset, and the answer next to it was none.
Oh,
Preset, none.
oh,
Well, it
okay.
doesn't matter with the document,
Yeah.
but what matters is that's what most people do. That's what they do with their life. They don't have anything preset.
Yeah, well, you count on your computer to be preset, Steve. I count on a decision I made when I was in college many long years ago. But here's my preset: the moment I get up in the morning, I go and I make the strongest cup of coffee I can get, and then I sit down with my coffee, my cat, and my Bible. And I never have to think it over. When I get up, I don't have to think, how am I going to start my day? No, my order, my preset from college days: get up, go to the kitchen, get your strong coffee. Well, I didn't have a cat then, but
You don't even have to. I know you don't even have to think about what you're going to drink, since I already know you're pretty much addicted to that coffee anyway.
I know
You're
it.
going to head right to it. But that's okay. I can say that
Yeah.
because millions of other people, that's the very first thing they do in the morning too. Did you know religion, even in the 50s, more religious people, you weren't supposed to drink coffee. Coffee wasn't, because it had caffeine, energy.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing you were not born any earlier, because you wouldn't have been able to enjoy your coffee if you went into the ministry. And so ministers back then, they
know.
would drink coffee, but they would hide it and not tell people. But anyway, you don't have to hide
I
it.
don't
So
hide it.
there you go. So these are advanced directives, so to
Yeah.
speak, of your day. And then we have presets. Now, why are presets so important? Let's talk a second, Kathy, about the emotional, spiritual, emotional,
Right.
mental condition. Which way do we want to go? Do you want to go just across the board in our country?
Yeah, let's do
I mean, you could
that.
divide it up and say Christian, non-Christian, church, non-church, but you know the problem with
Right.
that? It's the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
There's very little
Yes.
difference.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
little
well,
difference.
well, you know what a preset is then? It's something that you decide in advance that every time that thing happens or that thought comes your way or that need or whatever, then your preset has already been set, or with your family even, and you've decided this is how I'm going to respond. This is it. So I don't have to make any decisions about anything. I can live with those kind of presets day by
Yes.
day.
So you would say, and I would say too, we live in a very stressful society.
Yeah, it's
So it's
stressed.
bad enough the way it is. But here's why people are so stressed
Yeah.
is they're making up their mind as they go along.
Yep.
And that is too, do you know how many decisions you would have to make, which stresses you out in one day,
I know.
unless you have preset already for life. You have
Yeah.
set presets for life,
Yeah.
just like you don't get up in the morning and decide whether to read your Bible. That's a preset.
That
Okay.
is a preset.
So you don't have to do that.
Right.
Well, we had presets too. There's so many things, since we're in the ministry,
Yeah.
obviously we had a preset that our family's going to go to church.
Yeah.
And as you
Right.
know, we never had, when we got up on Sunday morning and the kids are getting, nobody said, do I have to go to church? I don't think we ever heard, do I have to go to
No,
church?
no.
Because it was preset. We're going to do that. That's who we are. That's who we are. And that's what we're
Yeah.
going to do. And so these are ways that people
Yeah.
can relax their lives
Right.
without taking a drug or something, or going and getting a massage or
Yeah.
getting your neck rubbed or something. And by getting some presets, making
Right.
up your mind. So
Yeah.
it's like a pre-directive, like I
Right.
said.
Yeah. But you know what? Also, in your family, like you said, our kids never woke up and said, hey, we want to stay home today. And presets in families really, really help your kids have peace and soundness, and they feel protected and safe because they know mom and dad has set a preset. Like if you whine and lay on the floor and kick around and cry real loud, your preset, honey, is you're going to the corner for 1 minute. And then the parent should never back down from that preset. And then the kid is embarrassed and the kid doesn't want to have to stand in the corner, but the child knows, hey, mom and dad are sticking with this. And then in the families, and you add the presets on and make sure your kids know we're always going to love God.
Yeah, so the downfall of that is parents don't have presets, and so they don't warn the kids or set the boundaries, if you want to call it that. Say, here's our boundaries. If you cross that, this is what'll happen.
Yeah.
If you don't, you stay within the lines, it doesn't happen.
Right.
But parents don't have a preset,
Nope.
so what they do is they lose their temper.
That's
They
right.
haven't preset how their kid's going to act and explained it to them. This is who we're going to be. This is how we're going to act, and so the kids don't know, and then the parents lose their temper,
Yeah.
say things, do things.
Yeah.
Swat them in Walmart, and everybody there in Walmart's appalled, and what's called the police on you, and all that kind of stuff. So you got to get
boy.
this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so you got to do that. Now I want to talk about kids too a little bit. I want to get back to that, but since you brought up kids,
Yeah.
that's a big problem today. Kids, parents, leaders, churches,
Yeah.
schools, government in some way doesn't want to set those presets. It wants you to be able to make a decision on how do you feel at the time.
Oh, my word.
And so what's
Yeah.
happening is the kids have no presets. So when they go to school today and they get in an emotional situation, they have not said, well, this is how you handle it. This is how you do. This is how you don't ever do this. You do that.
Right.
And instead they have to
Yeah.
send them to a room, a padded room or a padded place or a scream room or a cry room. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's something because they have no presets. So all you got to do
Right.
is, so you just got to throw them in that and let them deal with it right this minute. But if they had emotional and spiritual and mental presets that they were trained in,
Right.
they trained their mind,
Yeah.
and not just children but adults too. You don't have to go be thrown in a padded room. You already know you're not
Right.
gonna respond a certain way
Yeah.
all the time. And so
Do you think that part of the problem is kind of a teaching that has gone around for a lot of years now is you let your child make a decision and you say, here's a choice or here's a choice, and you decide. Now, I understand that's good in some cases, of course, but sometimes if it has to do with a matter of life or death, and if your kid wants to cross the street and you know that's not safe, but you say, now, little Johnny, look right and left, and you decide, do you want to go ahead and cross the street, or do you want to stay here with mommy? That is not the way to teach a child. You have to teach children what's safe, what's right, what's reasonable, what pleases God and what keeps them safe. And I think that's been a real lack,
yeah,
don't you?
if we don't get off the subject too far, but we are a Greek trained mental emotional
There you go.
culture in the Greeks.
Yeah.
Even the Romans had their culture, but the Greeks came and really infiltrated. It was really
Right.
a downfall. Part of the downfall of the Roman Empire was the Greeks
Yeah.
did exactly what you said. They brought other things in, and you're supposed to decide as you go along everything.
Yeah.
And we raised, not we, but people. They raise their children with, well, I'll wait till they make up their own mind, or particularly religion.
Right.
Religion's the worst. They
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
well, when they're old enough to decide for themselves, I'll let them decide for themselves. But then if you turn them loose, they will not be able to make a decision for themselves because they're so dragged through so many things.
Right.
I used to preach it this way. Remember that? I used to how many you've got people's handprints all over you. You've got people's
Right.
fingerprints all over you
Right,
because
over you.
your
Yeah.
teacher said do it this way, your pastor said that, parents, friends, and they all do it. And then when you get ready to make that decision, you think, I'll make up my own mind. But you know what? All of those handprints, all
over 'em.
all those voices that this way, that,
Yeah.
and then you finally make the final deduction. But you're basing it on things that people said or did to you.
Yeah.
It's not an independent decision.
That's right.
So that's why we want to make some decisions. And we used to do it this way in our house. If you remember, we'd say, there are some things we always do.
Yes.
That's a preset.
That is.
There's some things we never do.
Right.
Well, that's preset too.
Yeah.
Well, then there's a few things that we need to talk over and decide what we're gonna do.
Hey, that's right.
But there's very few of those. So we already mentioned
Right.
certain things in our house growing up with the kids. There's certain things we know we're not going to watch on TV, right?
Right.
There's certain places we're not going to go. There, we are going to go to church all the time.
All the time.
Every time the doors open, we were there.
Yeah.
We are going to be givers, and we explained to our children financially.
Yeah.
We are a tithing church, a tithing family, so we're going to give financially.
Right.
These are things we always do. There's some things we never do. And your family can sit down, the parents sit
Right.
down and decide we're never going to. So we had in our house, right? We would say this occasionally, not very often. we're never going to run down the hall, slam the door, and say, "I hate you."
There you go.
We're never going to do
Never,
that. So I
never.
told him, "Hey, you're never going to do
Never
that.
going to do that.
If you do that, then here's what's going to happen." And guess what?
Yeah.
It never happened.
It
It was a
never happened.
preset.
Yeah.
We decided to do it.
Yeah.
And their kids don't do it. They better
No.
not do it, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so it was a preset.
Right.
And then there are those things, Kathy, that
Yeah.
we're not sure what we're going to do.
Right.
Like, want to try to grab, those are the hardest examples.
well,
You
you
got
know,
one?
like what fast food place we're going to drive through. You know, it's not always preset that I want to go to McDonald's, but you know, we have. Hopefully, we can work together. We've decided to work together. Oh dear, I'm feeling convicted now. But we've decided to work together to choose the location of a restaurant. I think I failed. Uh-oh.
Choosing restaurants?
Yeah, but see, that should not be a preset that we always go where I want to go. But sometimes it should be that we do make that decision together. And we decide that, you know what, as a woman, though, this is a true confession for all women, okay? This is true for all women out there. We need to make a preset. We're never going to get anxious. We're never going to go into that high anxiety about anything. You know, sometimes a woman, including me, we can get into real anxiousness and worried and, over the silliest little thing. And then here comes the biggest problem, then we act the same way of anxiety. So I am trying, and every woman, you need to listen to me. You need to be a Philippians 4 woman, and that says, don't be anxious for anything. Now, that's a preset, right, from the Bible.
Right.
Don't be anxious for anything, but in everything, tell the Lord, thank you. Give him thanks. In everything, give him thanks for what he's done. Tell him what you need. And then thank him for what he's done. Then it says, then the peace of God is going to guard your heart. So I think those kind of scriptures to make, for women especially, don't be anxious. I've decided I will not be anxious in any situation, but instead I'm going to immediately tell God what I need, and I'm going to thank him and remind him. You've helped me so many times, Lord, and I'm counting on you to continue helping me, because that is my preset, even though I forget it sometimes. Amen.
I'm not sure restaurants was the best thing for you to bring
I
up.
couldn't think of anything else.
Well, that's okay. That works, and it's sort of a team. But having a preset place, if you want to go eat somewhere, then you get a preset, and then you
Yes.
decide where you're going to go, right?
Yeah.
But Kathy thinks she has a preset on it, but she doesn't. So we were in the car and we're driving. I think we were in St. Louis or something, driving through St. Louis late at
Okay,
night.
okay.
You were hungry, and so I do it. I say, okay, well, where do you want to go? What do you want? What are you hungry for? He said, oh, I don't care. I don't care anything. I said, well, all right. So we drove. Hey, that place. How about there? They're open. No, I hate that place. Remember that? No, I hate
I
that place. I
do.
said, you hate the place.
remember.
You just told me it didn't matter. Okay, how about this one?
okay.
No, their food never tastes good late at night. I don't want to. I said, how are we going to do this? Because you just told me you don't care. Anything works, but when I
Yeah.
bring up the place, you have no presets. Or else you had presets, but you did not tell me your presets. So just tell me your presets. I don't want to go here and here and here, but everything else is, well,
I guess
anyway.
that wouldn't cause trouble in a marriage if the wife decides my husband should preset it that he knows what I preset and I don't have to tell him.
No,
No,
well,
that does help in
if you had
marriage.
presets, yeah, then we could just pick one of your favorites.
All right.
And when the guy says, I don't care,
he means it.
he doesn't really care. He just wants to get it over with.
Hey, man.
I just want to get everybody happy and get it
Hey,
over
Hey,
with.
let's change the subject. Hi, Brooke. Hi, Heath. Hello, Kinda, Anne Marie, Natasha, Dan, Zion, Tina, and Jeremias. Hi.
Yeah, saying hi to people.
Hi. Thank you for watching.
So the reason we're bringing this out is it's a very stressful culture
Yeah,
that we live in.
it is.
And in order to get rid of some of that stress, you do, what I say? Oh, yeah. What was that called? A directive? It was what?
An advanced
Directive, which is actually for funerals. But you know what's going to happen at the end. Now, get an advance directive at the beginning.
Right.
Get one in the
Yeah.
middle. This is who we're going to be. This is what we're
Yeah.
never going to do. We're never going to say. We're never going to act this way.
Yeah.
We're always going to, what to our family, we're always going to serve God. We're always going to go to church. We're always going to love each other. We're always going to forgive.
Right.
Right. We're never going to hold a grudge. We're
Right.
never going to, you can say hi to Beth too. I mean, we're never going to live in unforgiveness.
No. All
Always.
those.
We're
Yeah.
always. We're never.
Yeah.
In the middle. One of the things
Yeah.
that we'll kind of conclude here in a minute, but one of the things that came up where we said some things we never do, some things we always do, some
Yeah.
things we don't know what we're going to do.
Right.
We had that come up a few times when Bobby was growing up because she had a group of friends from school that it seems like all of a sudden they kind of got old enough to where they could start going to movies on their own. The parents were dropping them off, Well, they started going about every Friday night to the movies, And they weren't bad kids, anything. I knew who the kids were. Some went to our church, some didn't go to our church. And, so they were all saying, let's go to the movies. And every Friday night and every Friday night.
Yeah.
And it was like, so then we had to come and talk every Friday night, like, well, what's the movie about? What's it? Is it God? Is it? Does it have this in it? Is it? What are you going to do if it has that in it? And so every Friday night we're discussing. That's before we had Friday night church too.
Right.
We had Thursday night then, but we had to discuss every
Right,
time
every time.
whether okay, I guess you should go. I hope it turns out okay.
Yeah.
And coming back like, was it okay? Because sometimes we don't go to the movies really, but I've been there. We've gone to the movies and sat there like I don't know what's coming up next. Should I get up and walk
I need
out
to
or should I just
flee,
duck?
flee.
Yeah. So we had to then do a preset.
Yeah.
And we said,
We did.
you can go. We want to do everything with temperance. If you go every single Friday, after a while, it won't be special or fun. It'll just be another Friday. So let's pick. How about once a month? I don't know if that's what we did, but that
Something
sounds
like
reasonable.
that,
Like,
yeah.
how about one
Yeah.
Friday a month? You pick out the very best movie that you really, really like to see and get together with your friends and have a great time. But it won't get old. It won't override us. We won't get into this, be addicted to going to the movies we got to
Right.
go every weekend.
Yeah.
And then we got to go through all the stress. Is it a good movie, bad movie? Don't have to do that. So it was
Yes.
just a simple preset and it
Right.
worked for us.
And it
so-
helped in her teenage years.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
you can still have presets when the kid's 15 or 18. Really, if they're still living under your roof, you can help them and you can have a family council maybe and say, here's our preset.
When I was growing up,
Here
we
it
went to
is.
the Nazarene church. Well, they had a
Oh.
preset. Never go to the movies.
Yeah.
They never. Well, they and I don't know how old I was. I was really little, but I still remember I got to go to the movies because the Ten Commandments was on, and they took me to see the Ten Commandments. It was good though, but they had
my.
they had one that wouldn't work for our culture today, like zero movies, no this, no.
Yeah.
Movies are everywhere. Netflix, it's on your phone. It would just be a battle of wits and will, right?
Yeah.
And so instead of saying never go to the movies, or we always go to the movies, right? That's that
Yes.
we'll decide as we go.
Right.
But let's set how many times we go so we don't
Yeah.
have to pick every movie. Oh, this one's good, that one's not.
Right.
Stress.
word.
And the kids always say it's a good movie, and they always say they're good people and they're nice people. They're good. So
Yeah.
parents got to be parents,
Parents
right?
got to be parents. Please.
So I hope today we've got it across to them how we do this. Take the stress out of your life. Some things you always do, some things you're never going to do, and some things you got to decide what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And those things that aren't that important. But, Jesus is Lord. We're going to go to church. We're going to serve Him. We're never going to change our mind. Those are presets.
Those are
and so I don't ever get up and say, well, maybe I don't like God today. Or maybe God doesn't like me today. And so I just don't
Yeah.
know if I'm going to serve Him or
Right,
not.
right.
Or my church, they called me to serve and volunteer. Well, I don't like the way they called me. So I'm just not going to show up. Nope, we show up. So it's presets. Will
Presets.
save your life and save save your marriage and save a lot of arguments because
Right.
we already decided this and already fully persuaded who
That's
we're going to
it.
be, what we're going to do, and our
Yeah.
presets. They'll help save our lives. Right.
Yes.
Till next time. Bye bye.